Hello everyone. So for today's card I'm using the Paper Smooches Birthday Buddies stamp set, and I chose the little bird image from the set, and I stamped him with Memento Tuxedo Black ink onto CC Designs white cardstock. As always, there'll be links below to everything in the description box below the video. So to color him in, I started off with Y11, and that was my lightest, and then I went in with Y15, which was my medium color, and then I went in with Y17, which was my darkest. When I color with Copics, I tend to work light to dark. It's just easier that way in my opinion for blending and whatnot. So after I put in the darkest, I went back with the medium, blended that out a bit, and now I'm going in with my Y11 and blending everything together. So super quick and easy, these images, just the detail of them and whatnot, like they're just cute, simple images, so they're so quick and easy to color. That's what I love about them. So once I've got the body all colored and blended, I go on to the beak, and on the beak I used YR04 and YR07. I didn't do hardly any blending. Those two colors are very close. They kind of just blend together really. And then I used R46 for the inside of his mouth, and I also used the R46 for that part of his hat. And then I went in with YG25 for that strip, and then I used Y15 for the top part of his hat. And I decided that I wanted to cut them out, so I just used, those are my Stampin' Up! Paper snips, and I purposely just cut around the legs, didn't bother trimming them out at all. You'll see why in a minute. It's just easier that way to not fiddle and try to trim out something that tiny. So again, with images like this, like they're so simple, they're just quick and easy to cut out as well. So once I've got the image cut out, I'm going to go on to the card itself. And I'm using these, they are from the Cat's Pajamas, yes. They're the Cat's Pajamas Pennants die, and this is the largest die. So I've die cut that, and the layout I'm actually following is from the Tailored Expressions blog. Again, I'll put a link to it. So yeah, I'd cut out the die, and then I stamped the bird where I wanted it, and see, that way I didn't have to cut out the legs, they're right there. And then I'm also using the Basic Gray Life of the Party pattern paper pack to kind of decorate that die, since I think there's just too much white space on it. So I just cut a small strip, adhered it to the top part of the little pennant, and then just use my paper snips to cut off the parts that are hanging over it. So then I've got the large part of the die, and then there's my card base that I cut down. So I also wanted to add obviously some more little pennants, and then I wanted to border them all with the scallop part of the pennant dies. And again, this is all just pattern paper from the Basic Gray pack. I was originally going to put the bird up on dimensionals, and then I just changed my mind and glued them down over top of the stamped image just to make it simpler. This pennant is really big. It, like a standard A2 card, which is what I'm making, it on the landscape version of it, it takes up like the entire friggin' cards. So I kind of had to fiddle a bit to kind of make the card work since it was so large. So I used that, and then I chose 3 of the smaller pennants to go with it, and then I just chose 3 random pattern papers from the Life of the Party pack that I was going to cut out with the plain small pennant die. And I used my Cuttlebug for all of that. So once I had all of those, I glued those together, and I'm just using my Tombow Mono Multi adhesive for all of this. I find that works really great with small images, but you'll see here, like, you have to be careful to make sure to get things in place because they can slide a bit. So, because once it's adhered, you'll tear the paper. So I kind of fiddle to make sure everything's adhered properly, and then let it dry. So now, like I said, I'm following a layout from the Tailored Expressions blog, which is that basically, and then a sentiment in the lower right corner. And I was bound and determined to use some of the Basic Gray Life of the Party stitch brads on here, and I'm just kind of fiddling around trying to make it work, and then you'll see I'll try it again later too. I wanted to use them so bad. So I adhered down the main pennant and then the 3 smaller pennants along it. Along the top of the card. And again, just kind of fiddling, seeing how I want things to look and to go, how I want them layered and whatnot. So I get all that in place. And then I decided to go in and add, I didn't want to add ribbon because I thought it would be too wide and would cover up too much, so I just used some of this. What color is this? It is the Lemon Drop Baker's Twine. So I just wrapped that around the top a couple times and then tied it off and then tied it into a bow. So that way it just kind of gave the illusion too of hanging pendants. I didn't want to thread it through anything and whatnot because with this pendant being so large and the other ones being so much smaller, it would have been just too distracting, I thought. So I just did like I did, wrapped it around, tied it in a bow, trimmed off the edges, and that kind of finished off the top of the card. And then I went in and stamped the little sentiment from the Birthday Buddies set. And you can see I lined up the card onto my mat there so everything was straight so I could get the sentiment straight as well. And then again, see, I'm trying to use that stinking stitch brad, and it just didn't look good. It wasn't going with that card. So I finally gave up on that and chose to use some of the just plain Life of the Party brads. And I used my Stampin' Up! Little mat pack, and it comes with the hole guide like that. So I just lined up some holes for the brads and just used scissors to pierce the holes, because larger brads like that, it helps when you use scissors because the prongs on them are so much wider. And then here I'm just using my We Are Memory Keepers brad piercer and setting tool to separate all the prongs and flatten them out. And then my card front is done, so I just decided to use large dimensionals to adhere it to the card base itself, and these I get through Jody Morrow. Again, I'll put links in the description box below the video. So yeah, lined it up onto my red card base, and that is the front of the card. So then on the inside of the card, again, I wanted to go simple, so I just cut another piece of white cardstock and then a small strip of pattern paper. And then I decided to use a little bit of the Life of the Party ribbon doilies to embellish that. So got the pattern paper down, again trim the edges off the edges of the cardstock, and then peel off the adhesive backing on the ribbon doily and stick that guy down. And then again trim off the edges off of the cardstock. And then I had a second little bird I'd colored before I made this video, just testing out colors and whatnot, so rather than waste him, I decided to use him to embellish the inside of the card. So I just stamped the bird again and then adhered the already colored one, and then I'll go and adhere this to the inside of the card, and that was it. I hope you guys enjoyed this making a card video, and I will see you guys in the next video. Bye!